Hello, my friends. This is Dr. Ginny Barrow. I want to bring to you today the topic that I share with my leaders during our monthly Visionary Leaders Circle. The activator of the month was to own your voice. You must first own your story. What does that mean to you? What interpretation do you give to that phrase? That's what we do together every single month with that group. And the goal of our discussions is to bring to light how, in this particular case, we are owning who we are, where we come from, the journey that we've traveled so far to get to where we are as professional women, as leaders, with our challenges, our triumphs, our achievements, all of it, and how we are using our voices to contribute, to help, to make the world, as hokey as it may sound, a little bit better than how we found it. And so I want to ask you, as part of my audience, what does this phrase mean to you? To own your voice, you must first own your story. I want to share with you some of the comments that we made as we had this discussion. And this is, by the way, something that I would like for men to listen to also, and leaders to listen to. This is really important because you may not have that awareness that this is happening to the women who you're collaborating with and who you are contributing with and serving with on a daily basis. And the truth is that when we are the only woman in the room, the only woman's voice in the room, that it can seem very intimidating to have that courage to speak without being given permission to speak and to say what's on your mind. And you may say, well, Ginny, that's not my fault. That is the woman's fault for not speaking up. And trust me, I am one of those alpha females who speaks in meetings, who never holds back. And I realize that there's a lot of other women who do hesitate to speak in meetings, who do appreciate when they are invited to speak and say, so what do you think about this, Ginny? And that is the role of a leader. The role of a leader is to look around and see what is happening, to notice it, and based on what he or she sees, to invite the voices in the room to speak and to share their ideas. Because we have many different types of personalities. We have men and women who are introverts and extroverts. We have people of all identities in the room. So when I use men or women, I mean being inclusive of everyone, not only men and women who identify as men and women, also theys. Whatever you identify as, that's who I'm speaking with, everyone who's in that meeting. And what happens is not everybody has the same level of comfort to speak up in that room. If there is a body in a chair that who has the ability to speak, as the leader, it is our job to be inclusive and to ensure that the voices in that room are heard and that we as leaders have the self-awareness to account for those people who are more reserved, more introverted, and that we as leaders ask empowering questions to hear what they have to say. So if you are on the camp of, you know what, Ginny, that's the woman's problem for not speaking up, or the other person's problem for not speaking up, not mine. Or if you're in the camp of, Ginny, I get this. I am one of those women. I am one of those leaders who doesn't speak up in meetings because sometimes it feels very intimidating, especially when you have voices which are very loud and sometimes even obnoxious, and you feel that there is no room for your voice. I want to say to both camps that bringing some compassion and empathy with you to every meeting that you go to will go a very long way in allowing people to feel that sense of belonging. And that as leaders, healing our leadership means to me being the type of leader who looks around the table and says, or looks around the Zoom room or the virtual meeting and says, who haven't I heard from? And let me invite that voice into the conversation in a non-confrontational way. So Ginny, I know we've been talking about this for a little while. Is there anything you would like to share with us about it? And if you don't, that's okay. That's a very gentle way to invite a voice into the conversation. Because what I heard during our monthly discussion is that in a phone call where there are only men on the call, and there's that one woman who happens to be the only female team member in a group of 12 people, she doesn't get a chance to speak. And everyone is chiming in and doing their thing. And she's like, ha, 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 and she doesn't get her chance to speak. And so if it were me, I would be like, excuse me, I would like to share something about this. And I would interject. But that's my personality. I can assume that everybody else is going to be the same way as I am. And when we think that if we do it, somebody else can do it, it's not bringing compassion and empathy into the leadership, into your leadership. So if this happens to be you, someone who is quiet because you feel like there's no room for you to speak, I am inviting you to go ahead and speak up. You have something valuable to contribute. And if you find that the environment is too hostile and that there is no room for you to have that opportunity, that you perhaps have a one-on-one with one of the people in that meeting or the leaders in those meetings who you trust, and that you share where you're coming from. But from a place of, I would like to contribute my ideas and I'm finding it difficult to do so in the environment when we have our meetings on Mondays or Tuesdays, whenever you have your meeting. And get some advice from the person, the other leader. Perhaps they're not self-aware of what's going on. They're not socially aware of what's going on because they're too passionate about the topic, or they're just not in their radar. If you happen to be the one person who's always speaking and who perhaps do not allow other people's voices to come in because you're such an extrovert and you have so much to contribute and to share, that you perhaps pull back a little bit, not stop contributing, but just to notice what other people are doing, and that you become more cognizant of inviting other voices in. Something along the lines of, by the way, Ginny, I know you've been quiet. Is there anything you want to share with us this morning? And that's it. And if she has nothing to share, she'll say, no, any ideas that I have, you guys are already sharing. And so let's bring our voice to every conversation that we have from a place of contribution, from a place of making a difference, from a place of solving the problem, knowing that perhaps your perspective is going to be unique, and that a unique perspective gives us something to think about. I hope that this message this morning serves you. As you can see, I'm coming to you from a place of love and contribution and gratitude. And my desire is that every leader is able to make room for other leaders to speak up, for other employees, our talent to speak up. And in that way, we can create a larger sense of belonging. If you want to reach me, you can always find me at callwithginny.com. Live with purpose, live with joy.